today to announce that the Justice Department has secured felony guilty pleas from the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, Binance.
Actually, it's Binance.
Binance.
Binance. Largest virtual.
Binance.
Binance. And let me be clear. It's Binance.
Binance.
Binance. Council has discussed crypto regulations and legislations at length, and we have come to the conclusion that instead of regulating, we are going to ape a fat bag each into laptop and pump it to over $1,300,000,000,000,000,000,000,000 market cap. Let's fucking go, crackheads.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Crypto Morning Coffee. I got my coffee locked and loaded, ready to go for a new all-time high on Bitcoin, and that is very exciting, but also was a little bit expected here on the channel if you're subscribed to this channel. And we are going to look a little bit deeper today what is going on with that new all-time high, where we are headed, and what we can expect from the crypto space, especially altcoins, after these new all-time highs. And also we're going to discuss a little bit whether we are early or not, and in which context, and where we might be more to the end. So that is very important. I have some video snippets here for you as well, so make sure to stay all the way through for this content. So, good morning to each and every one of you. Isn't it a nice day when Bitcoin hits a new all-time high? That happened only a couple of hours ago. Right now, we are, let's say, wiggling a little bit around this previous all-time high level from May. I think we might encounter some resistance here, but we have broken out nicely from this flag. Although the retest confused me a little bit by going below this level, but overall it's a nice and beautiful retest. And I said here yesterday in the Telegram group, so if you are subscribed as a rare hodler, then you can access that Telegram group, that the retest is now complete and we are ready, or we are at the lift off, and that is what is happening here right now. We have this nice flag pattern that we observed on this channel for a long time, and we said, would it break to the upside, retest and go, then we have a new target, and that new target says 135,000, okay, based on the flagpole here. Maybe a tiny little bit higher than that, as this is drawn in a conservative way. No matter what, I believe that this is the next target, and this might be our top, who knows, right? But the fact that we put in an all-time high here again, and very likely we're just continuing this pattern now, is very, very bullish. Let's look at this also on a little bit higher time frame, because here we clearly can see basically on a weekly basis, once we hit the bottom here of the flag, we never stopped. Even the retest is within a week. Every week is green, 3 green weeks to the upside. And of course, that is basically a miniature in our bigger pattern, right? If we go for the monthly, we can see that very, very nicely here, how our big inverse head and shoulders pattern is playing out right now with the retest and with the continuation, and we expect to add some fat green candles here on top of that, right? So that all is expected. Quick look at the indicators, how we're looking. If we would extend the TSI towards the trend line, and we would go with the pace that we are now, we would end up exactly in October, which is also a likely point to for topping out. It doesn't have to be exact. I mean, this is a monthly chart, and the chart is on point in a monthly pattern, but within a month a lot can happen, and the range of top out candles is fairly high, 30-40% swings within one candle. So it's just one of many indicators to use. We are entering the overbought zone of the RSI, but nothing like here. So I think there is plenty of room to go for Bitcoin right now. And also here, our momentum extremely bullish, bull cross to the upside, no indication of any turnarounds or so. That all is really nice. So I would say we're in a great trajectory here. So let's go a little bit in here. But first, let's do it the other way around. First, we are going to welcome the chat. So smash up the like button, guys, if you enjoy this all. If you're not subscribed yet, please do, or do yourself a favor and otherwise you're going to miss out. I welcome my rare hodlers here at this point: Trucking Hank, Adam, Green Lantern, GM Boys. Did you check NTV? Should I like the TV? NTV, the TV news channel. Helen is here, and Divine the Sing also. Good job. Good morning, I wanted to say, not good job, but anyways, let's have a deep sip of coffee, otherwise my brain will not react on the level it should, and go into what's going on. So we do still have some noise, but it doesn't really affect anything or matter anymore, right? So we have here Trump says 50% tariff on copper imports will begin in August, or on August the 1st. That's 20 days out. Copper now costs way more in the US than elsewhere, which could hit its economy hard. Trump sends more letters dictating high tariff rates around the world. European Union in limbo as Washington keeps it waiting on trade agreement. And interesting one here as well for Brazilians. Brazil will respond to Trump's 50% tariff with reciprocity, says President da Silva. Also interesting, right? This could give a little trade war-ish scenario there with Brazil. Okay, gotcha, Green Lantern. That's interesting. Okay, I will look. I didn't see that, but that is for sure interesting. Since it's for everyone who isn't German, basically he says there is a headline. It's called "Fascination Coins in 6 Steps to your crypto investment" on NTV. So interesting. Thanks for that hint. Yesterday, Nayib Bukele from El Salvador posted the screenshot showing that he's massively up with El Salvador on the Bitcoin holdings. Total profit $400 million. And of course, you can say, buying one Bitcoin every day and so on. But first of all, consistency has shown. Secondly, this is just the beginning for them, because if this train doesn't stop, and it will not stop, then El Salvador is then a role model for many other countries wanting to go this direction, right? So it's very good to have this exposure. How many people did look at this? Almost 1 million only, 984,000. This is crazy, right? The visibility is already good on platforms like X, but on the other hand, many people are just not yet into that stuff. So that says basically we're extremely early. Yesterday I saw this breaking Fed Chair Jerome Powell to resign. I don't know if it's true, but I wanted more to discuss when it happens and the rates are being cut, we are probably going to see much more bull market action out of all the markets. The current sentiment on Jerome Powell is split, with 52% positive sentiment across social mentions. Engagements are starting to spike in the most recent hour. That's why they posted this probably. I think at some point either he will lower the rates or he's gone. We will see. Now, for all
I
of you...
think Bitcoin
Sorry.
is... If you're buying
can pause
Bitcoin...
it. 1 second. I will just... for all of you that are wondering if we are early or late or whatever for Bitcoin, right? Some people think, man, I missed the train on Bitcoin, 112,000 and so on. Let's just listen to this guy and then figure out what that means, right? So let's listen.
Bitcoin today, it's still early. I don't think it's too late. So if you have zero exposure to Bitcoin and you feel like you missed it, 95% of investors have zero Bitcoin exposure. So you're still way ahead if you're buying Bitcoin today. If you look at Bitcoin wallets, comparing it to the internet, we're back to 1996 levels. Internet went exponential from 1996. So it's still the earliest days. I think Bitcoin is very useful because in the future, we're not going to be able to trust anything. Because cybersecurity, there's nothing secure anymore. We can sample your voice. I mean, even someone takes our voice, translates into Korean using my voice, you'll never know what's true anymore. So you need to be able to trust a system. The blockchain, the Bitcoin blockchain is the most trusted blockchain. And that's why the United States wants to have 1 million Bitcoin. US companies are buying Bitcoin. Banks will soon carry Bitcoin as collateral.
Okay, so here we have only one piece, one part of the argument why. And this is a long term, we are early. That doesn't mean we have to ape everything into Bitcoin right now at this point of the cycle. I mean, you can, and you will still probably be up in 4 years plus beyond. But it's not that we have reached top level maturity. On the contrary, I think most people can just not wrap their head around how much more Bitcoin will grow in terms of a market cap and adoption and so on in the next 20 years. I think compared to that, we are extremely early. Of course, in terms of that, the fact that there are institutions buying Bitcoin like crazy now, and that there are even some nation state in it. If you look on a scale of that, you say, okay, we're maybe not that much more early where you can buy before everyone else, but you can still buy before 95%, as he says, of the investors, and also the other 5% that is already invested is going to probably and very likely increase their investment over time. So and that with the block rewards going down, and it's debatable how much the cutting of the block rewards actually has had as an effect, but I think the effect will be much stronger once really there is not much more supply to be scratched out of the Bitcoin, so to say, that isn't the Bitcoin mining, right? That is going to be very, very interesting. But I think good news for everyone who wants to still build a Bitcoin stack, right? It's not too late. We can start today. The Green Lantern says, like the stream, by the way, follow my lead. Yeah, absolutely, guys. Make sure to drop a like here on the live stream if you enjoy that. Couple of more news from the Bitcoin adoption. We have the quarterly Bitcoin holdings here. So in Q2, 159,000 Bitcoin have been purchased. And that was way more than in any other quarter, right? So demand is increasing and the supply is decreasing, but there is still supply, as we have seen in other live streams, where the total global exchange levels are to drop below 2 million in Bitcoin. So 2 million Bitcoin, but surely and steadily the supply is dropping, right? So if we say this trend continues and in each quarter there is at least 150,000 Bitcoin purchased and stored away, that supply is going to dry up very quickly. I mean, that would mean in the means of 10 months, 1.5 million Bitcoin would be bought, and then there's 500K left. So then you have another 3 months and a half, and then it's gone, right? Or 3 months and the third, and then it's gone completely. Of course, it will never be gone entirely because the price is negotiated to the upside. The price goes up, and then you have willing hands to trade a Bitcoin or so, right? Another one is this: Emirates will begin now to accept Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as payments for flights. So this is the adoption that everyone was hoping for, especially for Bitcoin, that everywhere the gates are open, that you technically can purchase directly with Bitcoin. Because the moment that Bitcoin is being used as payment also means that the miners can get more out of the fees from the network, the usage overall is opting out of the other system. And yeah, it gives more legitimacy to the entire solution, I would say. But anyways, Emirates is only one of many now that announces that, and many also try to get a little bit of attention out of that. The question is, how easy is it to buy with Bitcoin, right? Is that basically check out and then you can purchase there with a, I don't know, wallet or something like that? Depends. And it also is interesting to me. So probably that should be a credit card style Bitcoin usage, right? Because otherwise, like from direct wallet, I would wonder if you don't dox your wallet that way, right? So you need a payment wallet where you can move Bitcoin to and then pay with that, so that only that payment wallet is, but then again, it would be technically visible what's linked to your payment wallet, right? So that's a little bit difficult, at least for me, to wrap my head around. Nonetheless, let's talk about the real deal. So all of these are really nice, but you know that what we've said many times on the channel here is that we are following the global M2, which is the red line. And the red line is only going up right now, right? So here's our bull flag, here's our breakout. Our target for the breakout lies somewhere here at the markup sign. So that's what I would expect over the next 2 months to go to the 135,000-ish. Maybe 3 months, who knows? However, right now, it seems that global liquidity is pointing up at least here to the 164,000 mark in that chart, right? You know, charts are different. Interesting is that global liquidity here points to the downside and didn't really make new highs yet. We will see if it continues or if that's it, right? And then if we see a macro top in global liquidity, Then the question is, how are people front running that, and are they ending the cycle or looking at that before, right? That is also a question I would have. But right now I expect the pump to go on for a while. And we're still in the summer dull or summer lull or whatever you want to say. Yeah. So here we had this chart includes like a Wyckoff accumulation theory pattern. It doesn't really matter, right? We only that we follow the global M2. So that is really relevant in my opinion. So now let's also, I found this, I thought it's a really cool thing to go through together, because it's a little bit about what thoughts about the end of this bull run, and considering the indicators that we have, we're not there yet, but it's also not like many people say on Twitter, like, oh, the bull run begins now. The bull run begins, right? The bull run began here, down here at somewhere here, and we are up a rough, I mean, if you take the wick here, we are up almost 700%, right? It's like this bottom wick here, that's actually the bottom here, right? So then you're up 620%. That's quite some bull run that went on for Bitcoin since November 22 until now. And that's something we cannot forget. So what does it really mean I'm leaving crypto this year? And not me, right? So this guy here says it. Of course, a little bit of attention grabbing, right? This title got my attention as well. Let me explain. First of all, it doesn't mean I'm disappearing. It's my 9th year in crypto. I'm far from leaving for good. Besides, there is a mission and vision I'm living for. I'm only referring to financial rotation. That's very important, right? All the thoughts are on financial rotation to get the most out of the crypto play. When someone tells you they exit, here's what it means. You can't exit into a vacuum. You just rotate capital from one market to another based on risk, timing, cycle data. And that's very true. No matter what decision you take, you are rotating into something, and then you are exposed to the risks of that market, right? So let's say you sell all your Bitcoin, which highly recommended not to do, but also not financial advice. And then you rotate into cash if you cash out either into USDT or into real US dollar or whatever fiat currency, and then you're exposed to the risks of the currency market, right? Maybe not cross currency, but to X% of inflation and currency debasement, right? And then you buy stocks, and then you're exposed to the stock market, but there's nothing where you can go. You always have to be exposed to something. The question is only what, based on exactly what he says: risk, timing, and the cycle data. So for that, here are some facts and figures to consider. My crypto, or his crypto in that sense, exit will last 6 to 9 months, complex process. He had several buy-ins at SMA 200 resets, where Bitcoin touched on the SMA 200 at 20, 30, 40, and 50,000 since early 2023, all shared publicly. Current BTC performance from the bear market low is 700%. We have seen it's a little bit less, 620 or 617, versus historical annualized return of 145%. Cycle tops always occurred in US post-election years, so this year, 2013, 17, 2021, and now 2025. We will see if that holds up, but it's very important to say the trend is your friend until the end. So we should expect the cycle top this year still. It might be November, it might be October or December, it doesn't matter, but it probably and likely is happening this year, okay? So we are very close to the end. Yeah? Bear market always followed in midterm years, 2014, 2018, 22, and then 26, right? 2026 is a midterm year. the average Bitcoin bear return is minus 66%, with drawdowns from top to bottom reaching minus 80%. Okay, so wherever we are coming out in the next couple of months, we can expect about a 60 to 66% reset, right? That is important, because if you are building a strategy right now, which includes cashing out altcoins and then coming back into Bitcoin at a bear market year, let's just say we went all the way up to 200,000. Let's just say we peak just a little bit shy of 200,000. And this is very bullish scenario, right? No guarantee that this happens. And we do this average return of 65%, then we end up just at 70,000, right? As a bear market bottom. That absolutely wouldn't make sense, because look at our previous high at 69,000. That would be an exact retest on top of that level. That would make a lot of sense, right? Let's say we don't get that far and we are just at 150,000 and we do this 60-something thousand return. Then we would even go down to 50,000 per Bitcoin. And that, again, would also kind of make sense, because last time we peaked out, so one cycle before our last cycle, we peaked out at 20,000, and see where our bear market went. It went all the way down to 15,500 here, which is 5,000 below that previous one. So we could go lower than the previous one, right? All these scenarios, they make sense, and they would all also say, okay, we might be way higher than normal entries are, right? So I think that there is a logic to this. We cannot deny it. And for me, it's right now, I have my crypto stack. I have some altcoins to ride that and hopefully give me some more return in an altcoin season. We're addressing that in a second. But let's just assume that there is going to be a bear market with about a 65% downswing at least in 2026 to 2027. And we are going to prepare for that, right? So we have from now, an entire year, maybe 2 years, to stack cash and to build a cash pile, to then get the maximum amount of Bitcoin once this is happening, right? That's at least my goal, and I'm calculating on a price between 70 and 60,000 for Bitcoin, or preparing for that. If we go to 500,000, like Jasper Frank says, then this Bitcoin entry would be extremely good still, right? Because then 66% return, crash, would still be above. The bear market bottom would then still be above where we are right now. I personally, based on all the metrics that I'm looking at, I don't see it. I don't see 500,000 this cycle. But I could be totally and horribly wrong. So BTC topped in Q2 or Q4. In 100% of cases, Q2 already ended, and since yesterday, this post is older than yesterday, but since yesterday we have a new all-time high right now, which means that we are very, very likely to top out in Q4. So we have more time, right? Q3 is weak seasonally, low volumes, summer lull. September is the worst month with a minus 6.17% average. October, November are historically the strongest. Q4 average 51%. November on its own about 17% historically speaking in such bull cycles. Now that would bring us well above 200K if we do from here a 50%, and even a 20% pump in November, let's say we creep around these levels and then get 20%, you'd still add about 200, you would still end up about close to 140,000-50,000, right? So very interesting here to look at these stats. Macro, inverted yield curve, 2023, trade war, high rates, recession risk 6 to 9 months later, which puts us at late 2025, early 2026. I personally, I agree that this is there, but I also disagree because we have been in a recession for a long time, just no one wanted to name it a recession. I always give the example, a couple of years ago, Joe Biden basically said there is no recession when there was 2 quarters back-to-back of negative GDP in the US. No recession, they said inflation is transitory and so on. But then they got rid of the rule that 2 negative quarters back-to-back is a recession, and it just said it this time, but this time it isn't. This time is different. So the question is, haven't we been in a global recession already? So we might not. We might not get it, right? I accidentally clicked on the advertisement here. So his opinion, top in July or late October. I would say late October, based on all the indicators, late October, November. Top July, I don't see it, based on global M2, based on RSI, based on stochastic RSI, based on TSI, based on MVRVZ score, based on like 30 other indicators. I don't see it. We are in July now. And I don't see that this is the top. Rotation for him, cash, real estate, gold, hedge funds, and luxury. For me, it's cash pile to then get more Bitcoin, right? But I'm not going to sell my Bitcoin stack. I'll just hodl it. So there's no trade for me here. For the altcoins, it is. But I'm still looking positively in the direction of altcoin run, NFT run, depending on how hard Bitcoin would pump right now. And then what's coming next, right? Is there a risk that there is no altcoin season and we get completely wrecked? Absolutely, and then we have to learn from it. That would also put altcoins on a very difficult spot, right? But I do believe that once everyone stops believing that the altcoin season comes, it hits. Is that a good sign for the channel? We starting to get scammers. Oh, I didn't see. Where's the scammer? I can't see it. Oh, okay, it was blocked in my chat application, which is weird because now I can't block the person. But I think it's a good sign. Yes, you're right. Guys, this guy is a scammer. Don't send any USDT to that address. That's scammy as hell, but you all know that, right? Everyone who watches this channel is. Hey, Troy Paris, good to see you late, but made it. That is great. Smash up the like buttons, guys. Sup, boys. I thought that this chain of thought was really interesting, and I agree with a major part of this. Now he says, I'll look to re-enter crypto in Q4 2026 or early 2027 after recession signals resets, aggressive rate cuts end of 2026-27, and asymmetric upside returns. It's a cyclical process, different time, same story, rinse, repeat. That's how we grow. And I think this would be really the time to discipline, build the cash pile. If you already own some Bitcoin, you can just lean back and enjoy the ride, because then and build cash for new Bitcoin positions on the side. If you don't have any Bitcoin yet, you might want to build a cash pile for exactly these years, end of 2026, start of 2027, maybe mid 2027. And we are going to cover it all. We will be here and we will look at when Bitcoin is not overbought in the RSI, for example, but oversold like this or here, because that will be the time where I will start allocating massive amounts of my cash pile again to Bitcoin. But before that, we expect Bitcoin to go like this on the RSI, and then like this, and maybe like this, and then we come down here, and that's too far out because that's 2028 already, but something like this where you have like a massive head and shoulders here on the RSI, right? Something like this. And we will see what will drive the next bear market in terms of narrative. I would say it's the meta planets and stuff, companies of the Bitcoin strategy following MicroStrategy that get liquidated. Not all of them, obviously. Maybe none of them, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. But I could see that this could be one of the narratives in that thing. So really, 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 really good read. I will retweet this so that could be interesting. Maybe he's too early with that. Who knows, right? No one knows. He probably also doesn't know. The fact of the matter is that in terms of search volume, we are really low for Bitcoin. Let's give this a refresh actually, so that we see. There we go. Yeah, we have a little uptick here now in the sphere of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is at 20 again with a new all-time high. All altcoins at 3 and NFTs are back to 1. They had a little bit sign of life around the Pengus and so on, but we're back to 1. So no one looks at NFTs right now. Back to looking at BTC, very important. We will observe this. I think there's still time. Once August comes to an end, everyone will be back from holidays, back from spending money, blah, 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 right? So all this time, all this phase will come back, right? In terms of power flow, and I think we need to really keep a good eye on this. I think that so the next push will bring us back to this linear regression fit, I think, in the next couple of days and weeks already, 220,000. The bear market bottom at 2027 would be actually end of 26 to 27 would be already 70,000. So maybe we don't go here. You see it, right? So you can still see it. 1 second. So here, if we go to 26 already, end of 26, end of 20, this is end of 2025, right? Yeah, so end of 2025, it's 50K. Then we go to 60K mid 2026. And then the longer it takes, right, the higher this absolute bear market bottom band goes. By the end of 2026, it's already 70,000, which supports the theory of our bear market bottoms being between 60 and 70,000 at the lowest, right? That means for us to pick up 10% of a Bitcoin, we need to be ready with at least $7,000 by then. Okay, so that if you are like handling smaller values and so on, that's the benchmark for 0.1 Bitcoin, right? To have $7,000 ready in the next bear market, at least, better like 10K or so, to be able to take advantage when the time comes, right? Of who knows where it is, right? Maybe it's here at 65, maybe it's here at 75, right? Who knows? So, and then multiples of that, depending on how much you want. And of course, at those prices, hey, if you can get to 30K cash pile until then, you can buy maybe half a Bitcoin, right? Or get to half a Bitcoin. Or if you can get $75,000 until then, you might become a whole coiner still, right? I think that's how much of a Bitcoin can I get and how much money can I pile on within the next 1.5 years, right? 1.5 to almost 2 years. I think that's the math here to do. Yeah, I see a lot of people basing the bear market price at 70K. I saw a cool chart on Bitcoin needed for retirement. It's much less according to the chart than I had thought. Could you share the chart in the Telegram group? That would be really nice. I think it blocked it because it showed up on the screen. Okay, yeah, might be. Might be so. Yeah, so that would be interesting. I don't know how much it is, but I think it's like in the 0.15 area or so. What you really need as in Bitcoin, something like that. But still, there are many theories about how big the adoption is and where we are going. Of course, it needs time, right? But the end of 25 is just around the corner, and the linear regression fit on that is 140K. So this would be the first bull run where we never come above the green line. If we were to fire up here for the last months, and we go so you see here like the next line is 200K towards the 200K or so. That would be still a bearish outcome concerning this chart. Now, well, I think our main worry is, because so many people are in altcoins, our main worry is altcoins, right? So we do. One second, I think this chart bugged out on me. Let's look at Bitcoin dominance, and maybe, yeah, there we go. Let's refresh this a little bit if we can. Okay, there we go. So Bitcoin dominance is really interesting right now, because let's put it on the daily, because you see this wicks here. Yeah, so this is drawn in on a higher time frame, so it's not as exact as we might want to have it. There you go. Yeah, but these are wicks, right? So this is a candle body, so this is why this is coming out of the trend line. So this is a trend line that has been respected on the weekly. And we have lost it right now. That does not mean that we are through and with Bitcoin dominance, but it could be, right? It could be. So Bitcoin dominance fell from the new all-time high at 66% to 64.6%, and the reaction out of the altcoins was big. One second, it's loading. There we go. So we do see, one second, going on the next, so we do see some, like on the small blip of a drop, we do see some big reactions of the altcoins. 20% Pengu, 12% WIF. Everything today already again is up like 5, 6, 7% on the week. We do see altcoins are still mixed, but we do see a lot of altcoins are already in the green, made up of the losses on a 7-to-7 comparison, right? This is last 7 days. And we see it like all across the board. We see some nice altcoin recoveries on that Bitcoin dominance going down. Can I guarantee you that this is going to be the start of the altcoin season? I cannot, right? That not. But it would, it would make sense to have altcoins firing on this final push for Bitcoin, as the more we go to the expected final months, the more people will rotate some Bitcoin to take altcoin trades, right? The drop-off is not yet as massive as this one here, which was 10% in move here from 61 down to 54, which is not 10%, but okay, but you get the idea. We will see, but last time we lost this trend line, we did see quite some drop, and the question is how hard will this drop be? There are, just to make you fully aware, there are also charts out here that drew in a new wedge that looks like this. Something like this. In that scenario, and let me put those in a different color. In that scenario, let me put these in like this. In that scenario, we would have room to basically go like this, right? And it's not narrowing that much, so I don't like that, and this is why I don't have it, because it's just, let's redraw everything until it happens, right? And it's like, that's retro TA. So I wait until something else happens and then I redraw everything around it. No, we are here to get some kind of edge, right? Where we know early what's going on. So I would say, hey, let's just recognize that this trend line has broken. We don't really have a retest here. So in terms of, like we had it before, where you come up again, bearish retest, and then go hard. We did see that here, which is where we believe that, okay, the altcoin season started. We dropped off here and we had a bearish retest here, and then everything looked all right, but then we just started climbing again, right? So yeah, I would want to again see that type of bearish retest here to confirm us dropping out of that trend line. And once it is time, it's also good time to not forget to take profits on altcoins. Once these drops happen, where let's say Bitcoin falls in dominance to 60%, that would be massive pumps out of altcoins. Overall, I'd say the trajectory is still going to this line of 40%. However, one thought that I have is the market tends to drive out people and to make people really mad and crazy, right? So we could go higher for Bitcoin dominance again once Bitcoin is pumping towards the end of the year and have an altcoin season only next year, which would be like, okay, we are pumping into November, December, right? And then we start falling, okay? And then we fall and fall and fall, and then it's that would be the first quarter of 2026, right? Could that happen? Yes. I mean, last time we were also, once altcoins were still pumping like crazy, we were already in a bear market for Bitcoin, only no one wanted to realize that. So it could happen, yeah. Does the global liquidity chart topping out implies the end of alt season as well? Good question. I don't know, but the global liquidity chart is not guaranteed to top out, right? I mean, we don't see yet any trend reversal because technically we have higher highs here everywhere. And we do have still, if we turn around and go higher here, we do have higher lows, right? So if this is a top or not, we can't really say right now. No one can say. The only thing that we see is that it's slowing down, right? But it also can fake us out in the sense of, hey, you get a higher low, but then you get a lower high. My brain. So you get a lower low than this, lower low, and then you get a higher high again, right? So it's just more macro swings then. So we really have to wait and see. And unfortunately, it's everywhere. Everywhere in crypto, we have to wait and see. But right now, it still shows big up, right? But I think it's undeniable that we're coming more to the last push, to the end of that cycle. We did see also here on the, let me also refresh this chart on the DXY, that we went way lower on the DXY. Let me put that on the monthly. There we go. Max Crew, welcome to the fam. Thanks for subscribing here and welcome. So we do see that currently the month is greenish on the DXY, but we did significantly and for good fall out of this mega multi-year support. So this is exactly what we've been waiting for, and this is the trajectory of the bull run. So I'd say over the next 3 months we should go to this bottom line in the direction and then find our footing here, and that's where the bull run ends. Let's see if the dollar weakens here or not. We do have some signs like this, but it's not really a lone traded asset, so indicators are not as powerful here. The DXY is obviously always traded against other. The DXY is a comparison to other currencies, but it's not actively traded in that sense, because if, for example, the euro devalues, it also drives up the DXY, right? So yeah, indicators not as strong here. What's more important is the fact that we are dropping. Yeah. So everyone, Besant, Trump, the rest of the world, everyone wants a weaker dollar, and that's happening, right? So that's basically what we can see here. Now, quick look at our favorite alts. Starting out today with Ecomi, we did see some things happen, because yesterday there was a bigger push out of towards the upside, exactly to this resistance line here, out of Ecomi. A pretty big move that got immediately sold into again, 24% over a couple of days, over 3 days total, but the most of the push was yesterday. We do see the volume here exceeding all other volume. That is interesting. We do see, though, that it did not yet have the capability of breaking the downtrend. Is it that whales are making their move? Question mark. I don't know. But doesn't mean we can't go lower here, but it means we are continuing that we get much more volume in since we basically are hitting this territory. So the question is when. I mean, it's more a when than if turnaround, I think, at the moment. Considering all facts, could this be a bottoming? Maybe. Okay. MCAD. I think I have to refresh that as well, to be honest. Okay, there we go. Oh, that's Pengu. Pengu is breaking out. That's Penguin on the refresh, but here we see it also. We did actually cover that. Pengu is breaking out. Let's look at MCAD. Yeah, MCAD not really moving yet, but yeah, still in that area. Still in that. Is that actually the one? That is not the chart that I'm usually looking at. There we go. Still in that accumulation zone. Yeah, that not much to say here for MCAD. How about VChain? VChain is bouncing here and looking good on the weekly. Let's go on the daily for VeChain. Really nice bounce off of the support level here on the daily also, right? A lot of back tests and boom. Now let's see if VeChain can go with Bitcoin to 2.5 cents here, right? This area coming up here, that would be the next short term, I think. Overall, VeChain, yeah, really nice new staking, a lot of marketing, community growth. Everything is all right with VeChain, I would say. Not much volume though. Let's see. But I'd say, yeah, if altcoin season, then actually what I would like to see is that VeChain coming back over the next couple of weeks to 3 cents, and then we have ourselves a really nice W, right? And then breaking that, retest fly. Yeah, that would be the scenario, and then it's time to take profits. Yeah, what else do we have? I think Devi is worth a look as well, as we have been, yeah, exactly that is happening or continuing. What we're looking at, a potential squeeze here, bam, and then breakout. Let's see how it develops. You see the drawing skills are insane. Tito, what's going on? Hopefully everyone's doing well. He says, sorry for that. FOMC minutes should have been coming out yesterday, but there's no data here. Actually, I didn't look at the minutes. What we do see is in 5 days we do get core inflation year over year, and the inflation rate plus inflation rates month over month. So inflation data coming in for all the markets in 5 days. Yeah, but I think we're looking good here. Let's check out the total 2 driven mostly by Ethereum. Also, that is going up. Wow, that is actually a good one. Let's check out Ethereum, ETH USDT. Okay. So ETH is recovering. So we have 2 things here, and this is on purpose. We have this trend line that got broken. We want to reclaim this, then I'm going to remove it. But what we also see is, and that's way bigger, is exactly that, right? That scenario where you would come up here and break out within the next couple of months, right? Break out and then fly. That is the start of the altcoin season that would be the start of the altcoin season driven by Ethereum, right? So everyone would be looking at Ethereum. Oh my God, Ethereum breaking out, Ethereum going higher, yada, yada, yada. Important for that is also to not forget ETH BTC. Here we go. And that's exactly what we want to see. Look at that. We did cover this pump against ETH BTC. So ETH is kind of outperforming Bitcoin right now since finding its absolute bottom on BTC in April. So we had a sideways moment, we have some lower, but we now really, what we need right now is a little bit more to the upside so that you really have this trajectory of higher highs as well. So to say, okay, you are going into an uptrend here from ETH against BTC, which would be the start of an altcoin season. This is a development, this is the weekly chart, this is the development over a couple of weeks. But overall, ETH is looking really, really good. Let's look at the total 3. Also, the total 3 is doing exactly what we wanted to do, is recovering, coming up, has broken this again. And now I think it's time to challenge the overall all-time high. So that means there is more emphasis also outside of Ethereum on large caps that are driving that. And now the last one that we need to complete the picture is others, and others are still in a bad territory, still bad. since they lost this trend line, but we will see if they also can recover and maybe have a nice turnaround. Maybe we will see some upward trajectory here for the others. Yeah, something like this. But so far so good. So the emphasis on the big coins, on the top 10 right now, not on the others, not on everything outside top 10, which is also getting massively wrecked on dominance, right? We see it here. We want to see a turnaround here as well. Ideally coming back into this flag, right? Ideally coming back. But that's it, guys. So far, make sure to subscribe to the channel, be subscribed, like the channel. That helps me the most. If you want, you can support this channel by becoming a rare hodler. Would really appreciate that. That also gives you access to the Telegram group, where I can react a little bit on shorter time frames. And yeah, guys, wherever you are on the world, have a great morning, evening, day, night, or afternoon. And I see you in the next video or live stream. Have a good one, everyone, and bye.